If you've seen an e-ink setup before and you've liked it, chances are you're going to love this one too. Because take a look here. I spent the past couple of days theming this e-ink setup to look pretty much as good as I could, along with theming all the other applications that I was using, like VS Codium, in order to write Ruby and whatever other languages that I usually do. Okay, then Discord, theming this as well, along with theming Spotify. Now, that's not the only thing that I themed. I also included a wallpaper switcher as well. So if I wanted to switch wallpapers for this e-ink aesthetic, I just have to pick a wallpaper from here, and then voila, with this beautiful transition, I get a wallpaper of my choice. I can also switch it to something completely different, like this duotone landscape. This one is more light leaning, right? So if I show you the browser, this is what the browser looks like. This one's a light theme by default. I actually made a counterpart to this theme called Noir. So let me actually show you that. So we'll switch back to the default wallpaper and let's show you the default theme, or rather the dark theme, the dark variant of this e-ink theme. Let's go here. It's called Noir. So if I switch this, okay, as you can see here, this is what Noir looks like. Now, previously, the colors were much more saturated, but then what happens is if you only use grayscale colors, you wouldn't be able to tell what's what inside of the terminal. So instead of having to put up with that issue, the best way to get a monochrome aesthetic without truly going monochrome is to just turn the desaturation, or rather turn up the desaturation or turn down saturation for all colors. And that's what I've done for every single color in Waybar and the terminal as well. So if I show you niche, this is what that looks like. Now for VS Codium, this is what you see, just complete black, amazing aesthetic. There is a way to customize these bracket colors, by the way. You just have to look up the extension bracket pair colorizer. That has actually gotten merged. The feature, the functionality has gotten merged into VS Codium by default. But in case you want to customize it a bit further, or VS Codium doesn't allow you to do that in whatever way that you want to, you can, of course, use the extension that I mentioned. Okay. Now this is Discord. This is what Discord looks like. Looks pretty sweet. And this is Spotify. So Spotify just has to reload. Once you reload Spotify, this is what you see. Looks pretty amazing. Now that is for the theme part. There are a bunch more themes that I'll show you over here, okay? I've created like 10 to 11 different themes. I'll show you all of them. But before that, I want to take a look at the rest of the features that I've implemented in this system, okay? First of all is the kill functionality, okay? These ones, they're not going to be that long, or rather that featureful, because they're pretty simple keybinds and pretty easy to set up. I've made videos on them in the past. If you want to learn how to do that yourself, you can check it out. And also, if you want to learn how to make a setup like this, how to make a custom theme switcher like this, along with a wallpaper theme switcher, right? A wallpaper switcher that gets you to switch wallpapers like this, and a hell of a lot more, you can go ahead and click the first link in the description. There, I detail exactly how you're supposed to write the code for every single part. I explain how everything works, so that in case you wanted to change some parts of it yourself, or you had to troubleshoot something in case something broke, you could do that. Now, that's not something that you can do if you just grab someone's dot files and then copy and paste them onto your system. Not only would you just be copying something that doesn't actually work on your own system, you have no idea how it works. And if in case something does break, which eventually, trust me, it does, I've used N4 dot files, I've used hyper dot files, hyper dots. Yeah, they used to be called hyper dots back in the day. Hide, right? I've used those, I've used ML4W, I've used Quickshell dots, Celestia, basically any single dot file that you can imagine. And I've always found myself coming back to making my own setups because one, I actually know what's going on. That way, even if something breaks, I'm actually able to fix it instead of just running to the devs of, I don't know, some quick shell derivative like dank material shell or something like that to ask for help. That's one thing. And another thing is it's just completely, it's so satisfying to be able to make a theme like this and then just take pride in your own creation. That's not something that comes as easily if you're just copying files and then changing a couple of colors here and there. So if you want to learn how to make something like this yourself, I show you exactly how to do it in the first link in the description. So you can go ahead and check it out. Okay, now for the kill feature, I've just bound that to super K or alt K. That's basically hyperctl kill. So if I choose to kill any window, like I can press the left click button, and then what it's going to do is send hyperctl kill to that particular window. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, then after that, we have regional screenshots. So if I press mod shift F12, I can take screenshot for any particular region. You also see this really cool animation of a white little sheet of paper kind of thing moving over top, right? Moving on top of your screen, signaling that you can take a regional screenshot. That's pretty fun. Then after that, we have a file manager. So the file manager I'm currently using is Thunar, okay? But there is also Nautilus as a file manager here. This is what the two file managers look like. Now, this being a GTK4 app, right, Nautilus, this is a GTK4 app, which means that it doesn't have live theme reloading like GTK3. So if I wanted to refresh the theme, what I'd have to do is just close this app and then reopen it in order for it to work. Sometimes you might even have to type in kill all-9, then kill the app because sometimes it just ends up running in the background for whatever GNOME dev reason, right? But once you do this, it should work, which it always does. Then after that, we have the app launcher. So this is what the app launcher looks like. Let me show you with the e-ink theme that we started out with by default. Let's switch the wallpaper back to where it was. And this is what the switcher looks like. This is what the app launcher looks like. Now this is also working for the wallpaper switcher as well as this, the actual theme switcher itself. Okay. Then we have a calculator. I've also implemented a calculator's functionality over here, so I can type in whatever I want to. Let's say 23 plus 21 minus 9 times 15. And then I see the result over here. That's something like minus 91. That's calculator. And then after that, there is a bar theme switcher as well. So you see way bar over here. I've managed to implement a layout switcher for this, rather. Okay, so I can select any layout from whichever I want here and select alchemy. This is what happens using one color for all of the modules here so far. If I want to, I can change any of the colors by going into style.css for this particular theme. That would actually be inside of config waybar style.css, right? I just go here and then change whatever I had to in terms of the colors. And once I do that, I can just go ahead, use the theme as usual. Okay, that's for alchemy. Then for subtle, this is what subtle looks like. This one goes especially well with the e-ink theme that I showed you earlier. Just completely super minimal. There's nothing getting in your way, right? Even if you needed something, you basically have everything over here. It can show you network names. It can do all sorts of stuff, this bot, including open this Overwatch panel. Okay, now let's show you the other theme. We have ultra minimal as well. Let's switch the theme here. Okay, then reload. Yeah, this is what ultra minimal looks like. This one is actually macOS inspired. So I got this from macOS, I think it was Ventura. Yeah, that's right. macOS Ventura. As you can see, you have this little date thing along with the time over here and then a bunch of icons. That's that. And then after that, let's show you the other themes. So I've shown you all this. Now Waybar V1. This one looks pretty sweet too. And then V2. I should come up with more creative names for these, but for now, they're just called V1 and V2. Okay? Then we have title bars. Now, if you ever wanted title bars on Hyprland, even though it's a tiling window manager, you can absolutely do that. If I press Super Y, I get title bars like so. These colors are a bit monochrome, but nonetheless, they look pretty good. If I switch the theme to, let's say, e-ink, it doesn't actually change the fact that they're even more monochrome now, but regardless, you can tell that this looks pretty good. And they're the same as the traffic light system that you see on macOS. So if I press this button over here, this is supposed to be close. It closes the window. Then if I press this, this is actually going to minimize the window, unlike on Windows where it maximizes it. So if I press this middle button, it's going to minimize the window and send it over here. If I press it again, it sends that here. Now, the way you actually achieve this is using a script, which I'm pretty sure it's somewhere inside of config hyper. Let me actually see whether it's there so I can show you the script. Scripts, it is somewhere here, hyper bars minimize. So here, what we're doing is basically toggling focus window between special workspace and last normal one. So we need a state file to keep track of the previous workspace that we were on. Then here, this variable is storing which workspace is the focus window on. Then if focus window is not on a special workspace, just remember the current normal workspace and send it there. If focus window is on special, send it back to the last normal workspace. Now, this is just a bunch of bash syntax stuff, right? Magic syntax stuff. You don't have to worry about that. As soon as you just identify what the function of the script is supposed to be, what the logic is, it's so much easier to just go ahead and look up the different parts of that script as you need to, instead of just worrying and obsessing about the syntax like I used to. And of course, I show you how to write scripts like these inside of Hyperaccelerator, which is the program, first link in the description as well. Let me actually show you what that's all about. Right, so here we just scroll down, and there's a theme switchers module, by the way, which is a 2-hour long module where I show you exactly how you can configure theme switchers like these. Okay, I tell you exactly what theme switchers are, and then the different kinds, how to set up wallpaper-based theme switching with PyWall and Matigen, or Wallust if you're into that as well, and how to set up custom theme switching as well. Now the code part is somewhere over here where I show you exactly how you're supposed to do it, so on and so forth, right? Great. Now, as for writing scripts, I call the module Automation Psychopathy, and here I cover shell scripts, brief explanation of common use cases, and all the scripts that you're most likely to use. All of which, of course, I package for you as a little bonus at the end of each module. So if I show you this, this is probably another 40 to 50-minute module as well, where I cover shell scripting and how you can use it to write cool shell scripts like that. Here, as you can see, this is what we've got going on. Explain everything in detail, right? That's it. Now, that's for the title bars. If in case I wanted to switch the title bars off again, I just press Mod Shift Y, which then turns off the title bars. Then there is also an overview function. So if I press Super Q, this is using Hyper Expo, which is a plugin. I've made a video on it in the past, which allows you to get the same overview functionality that you would get on GNOME or KDE. That's for the overview. Then there's a layout switcher, which I already showed you for Waybar. Then for the browser, this is what I'm using so far. So this is Brave, right? Brave, I've completely gutted out all of the different, useless shenanigans that Brave has got going on by default when it comes to their stock browser, right? There's Brave rewards and then Brave ads and VPNs and God knows who needs all that stuff. So I've just gutted it all out, and you're left with a beautiful Brave browser that's clean, minimal, and then gets you going wherever you need to extremely quickly. Another benefit of using Brave browser that pretty much nobody tells you these days is that it's using Manifest v2 extensions. That's actually an option. So if I go to settings and then here inside of Brave, I show you Manifest v2. Yeah, there's the option right there. So what's the deal with Manifest v2 and v3 extensions, you might be asking? Well, Manifest v2 is basically, you can consider a platform for making extensions. Now, Google, being Google and doing Google things, okay, they don't want you to block ads. And so Manifest v3 is a platform for extension developers to make extensions. And on that platform, on that framework, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, you're not allowed to make ad blockers. That's pretty much the main reason. However, Brave over here allows you to still host or rather download Manifest v2 extensions and use them, like uBlock Origin over here, which I've got. That's one reason why I use Brave. Of course, you can skip all of this BS and then just download something like Zen Browser or LibreWolf and then be able to access the extensions that you want to without any hassle whatsoever, but it's not quite the same as a Chrome engine, right? Which is why. Now, if I show you Brave in this e-ink theme, this is what you have. And of course, Nautilus. Wait, that was actually Thunar. Now this is Nautilus. That's it. Let's go back to Noir. And then after that, I already showed you the theme switcher, which is going to be this. Now, let me take a second to show you the rest of the themes that we've got. So I'll start with Capuchin, skip over e-ink because I've already showed you, and then we'll just show you the rest, okay? This is what Capuchin looks like. You just have to run it once again. Yep, just needs to run twice because sometimes the wallpaper isn't initiated, which is why you see that little red box over there, but otherwise, this is what you see. And of course, switching wallpapers works this way. I added in a different transition for switching wallpapers on purpose because it just looks so much cleaner and there's a contrast between switching themes and switching wallpapers, which just makes it all the better, right? That's why. Of course, for all the other apps, this is what you see. So let me actually put these two on the same window so that you can observe it better. And let's shift this over here. Okay, little scrolling layout magic there for you. Okay, now let's put niche here. We can actually send this over here, give it a little bit more room. Okay, do all this fun stuff. Let's do this. Okay, position it properly. Yeah, now if I switch the theme, you'll be able to see it properly. Great. Now for Everforest, this is what Everforest looks like. Da. And of course, all the wallpapers. I'll just show you a preview of the wallpapers because there are way too many wallpapers for you to go through. So, here. This is Grovebox, all the different wallpapers. Okay. When I found this wallpaper, I genuinely thought this to be the corniest thing ever. It's not cringe, right? But it's just so corny. Life motto, right? If sad, sad equals false, be awesome. I don't know. Look, this is a pretty minimal wallpaper, and yes, if you're into this kind of stuff, you can use it, but come on, the corn here, the genuine corn. Anyway, there's also another corny wallpaper I was able to find. If burnout, pause, recover, return stronger. Let's go. The best wallpaper ever. It's got to win the award for that. Come on. You got to be honest. Whoever made that wallpaper is a G, right? That's Kanagawa. Then we have Night Fox, which is one of my all-time favorite themes. This is a custom wallpaper that I made in one video earlier. So if you want, you can check that out. This purple sky almost matches perfectly. And of course, this wallpaper that I've used for over 20, 30 videos. Then let's switch the theme to something like Nord darker. This is what Nord looks like. Where is this? Florida? Yes, Miami. This wallpaper gives Miami, Florida vibes. You can switch to evening. Best part about this wallpaper is you can use it for cappuccino as well, but this fits for Nord too. Ooh, okay. So for this theme, the name is a little bit different, which is why it's still showing the Night Fox theme. But regardless, you can switch that real quick when it comes to Rose Pine. This is also another one of my favorite themes because take a look at this wallpaper. As soon as I found this, I was overjoyed, ecstatic, happy, elated. I genuinely don't know enough adjectives to describe the sheer immensity of joy this wallpaper gives me. It just makes me feel like I'm on the clouds, right? And the rest of the themes too. So I can pick a different wallpaper if you want to. Right here, pool. This pool one's pretty good. And let's show you the last one, which is Tokyo Night. Got the minimalism wallpaper going on here as the Japanese houses. I literally named this Japanese houses because they look pretty Japanese and they look like houses. Yes, genius, I know. And then this is the wallpaper that I've had for another 30 videos if you scroll back and take a look at my channel. Great, now let's go back to Noir and let's show you the rest of what I've got going on. Okay, then let's see what else we have. Great, so the Overwatch panel, which you've taken a look at earlier, right, with this absolutely slick animation, I was able to configure this using window rules and my god does it look good. It seems like it's a part of something like Quickshell or AGS or U, but oh, holy shit. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Okay, then color picker. We have a fade animation for the color picker as well. So how Hyperpicker works is it takes a screenshot of your current setup and then it just shoots a color picker onto that, which is why you see the cursor as well here. Pretty sure that's an option you can disable or enable, but yeah, until then, you can use this color picker. Then there's a logout menu, which I've configured to be W logout. This is what you see for the logout menu. And then we have volume and brightness. So if I increase or decrease volume and brightness, I see little pop-ups over here, along with nightlight. So if I turn off or on nightlight, which is supposed to save your eyes during evening time, you see a pop-up for that as well. There's also a game mode or a no animation mode or a distraction-free mode. And if I press Super F1, it's just going to get rid of all animations, get rid of all sorts of blur effects, and then just make things super minimal for when you want absolutely no distractions or when you need every single little bit of computing power that your computer has to offer. That's one thing. And then media controls. So if I show you Spotify, where is Spotify? Let's just reopen Spotify, or actually never mind, but because it's pretty simple, right? It's just media controls. So if I press F10, it's going to play pause, F9 to go back, and F11 to go forward. Then the lock screen, this is what the lock screen looks like. Let's switch to something like Rose Pine. Let's turn the animations back on. Okay, now if I show you the lock screen, this is what you see. Should be the weather over here as well, and if any music is playing, that shows too. And then finally, we have zoom. So if I press super plus, we have a bunch of zoom here, and if I press super shift 0, we zoom back out. Now let's turn this back on. If I press super plus, we zoom in, super minus to zoom out, and super 0, super shift 0 to go back to initial level of zoom, which is none. And that's it. That is exactly how I've configured my setup to be extremely minimal, extremely productive, and extremely good looking. If you want to know how to make a custom theme switcher like this one and get a setup that's exactly like this, all whilst never facing a single issue when it comes to troubleshooting, because trust me, I've been there. I've been writing Hyprland for over 4 years. I've troubleshooted every single issue that you could possibly come across under the sun, and I teach you exactly how to solve those issues and never even come across them in Hyper Accelerator over here, right over here, with all the 10 hours of content that's in here. So if you want to know how to make something like this for yourself, go ahead, click the first link in the description right now and check it out. If you liked the video, hit like. If you loved it and want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay rising. Mwah.